We had the commissioner wearing a T-shirt. We had Hawaiian shirts from not one but two NFL head coaches. We had 55 million people over 3 days watching an NFL draft truly unlike any other. And it's with that I say happy Sunday to you and thank you for watching NFL Total Access Draft Recap presented by Ram Trucks. I'm Andrew Siciliano. Hall of Famer Deion Sanders joins me shortly. Brian Billick and Charlie Casserly as well. It is hard to put 255 picks into 2 hours and make sense of all of them. We're going to do our best. We're going to start perhaps with one of the most interesting, intriguing, perplexing picks, if you will, and that is the Eagles taking Oklahoma quarterback Jalen Hurts at number 53 overall. He is now going to Philly to back up Carson Wentz, a guy who did play all 16 games last year. Granted, he couldn't finish the playoff game. Wentz went to Twitter and said all the right things. Welcome to the best football city in America, brother. And Hurts is saying all the right things as well. So excited to get to learn from you in Philly. Let's get to work. The man who did the work, Howie Roseman, Eagles GM, spoke to our Mike Garafolo and channeled a story from 2012 to explain why he did it.
You know, I was with Coach Reed in 2012, and Mike, I don't know if this has been reported, but we had this plan. We had this plan that we were going to go into it, and we had a quarterback who is now playing really successful in another place, and a quarterback who's won a world championship in our place, and we get both of them. And we try to get a little cute. We kind of figured out the difference between the second and third rounds. And I feel like my lesson that I learned from that is what is the difference between taking a guy in the second round and third round if you get a guy who's an important player to your football team?
All right, I just want to make sure that the 2012 draft you're talking about, because it's been reported you had interest in Russell Wilson. So you're talking about Russell Wilson was a guy that you kind of had in your crosshairs. And
yeah, I'm not going to get tampering charges. You know, I'm not going to do anything. So, you know, I'm just saying – we're going to make sure we learn from the things that we did, and we're not going to get cute.
Interesting. It's not tampering, Howie. The Seahawks took him. You can say it now. They took him 75th overall. The Eagles also took Nick Foles there. And I mentioned that Carson Wentz did play all 16 games. He did get concussed in the playoff loss to Russell Wilson and the Seahawks in Philadelphia. It was Josh McCown who came off the bench. And I would argue, Deion Sanders and Brian Billick, that Jalen Hurts last year, I know this is a hypothetical, would have come off the bench in place of Josh McCown, or Carson Wentz rather, and won that game. That's exactly why, Deion, you go get a guy like this. He might be a gadget guy, but he's also a legitimate backup quarterback.
I'm not going to say he's a gadget guy. We got to stop putting labels on this kid. This kid lost, 2 games at Alabama and went into Oklahoma and had a great career, a great college career, statistically one of the best college careers that we've ever seen. This kid is a complete winner. We've never seen him lose his composure. We've seen him humble himself, sit on the bench, back up to her. When his number was called, he went in and did his job. Went on to Oklahoma and led those guys as far as he could take them. I love everything about this kid, his maturity. He developed as a passer last year. We all know he could run the ball successfully, but he is a bona fide leader. We've never seen this guy out of control, and he's been before our eyes over the last several years in college football in its largest stage. I like this kid. And he's backing up a quarterback who has missed at least 13 games in his NFL career. But the likelihood of him getting in and an opportunity to play and perform is great. I love this pick.
Yeah, I think, and what Philadelphia is seeing, Jalen Hurts, you knew he was going to come up higher in the draft because of the success of Lamar Jackson than he might otherwise. Lamar Jackson, a lot of people have said, okay, this is a tailback playing quarterback. Well, Jalen Hurts is a fullback playing quarterback. He's much more physical. He's not as a developed passer as Lamar Jackson. That's got to come a little bit. But I agree, he will continue to develop as a quarterback, sit in that spot behind Carson Wentz. But they will have some packages for him. But don't think for a a second now. But Doug Peterson isn't going to have a number of different packages in the red zone on third down as they continue to develop him. He's not going to run the same offense that a Carson Wentz does, but we saw this with a Lamar Jackson and a Joe Flacco. Even though that timetable was very defined, Joe Flacco was on his way out of Baltimore. That's not the case with Carson Wentz. But they'll balance out that package and continue to develop Jalen Hurts. At the same time, they are going to have him in some very specific packages to utilize his athleticism.
38-4 as a starter between Alabama and then last year in Oklahoma, in Norman, and combined last year for Lincoln Riley, 52 touchdowns, 32 passing, and 20 on the ground. He is a winner. Chase Young, by the way, gentlemen, stay right there. Chase Young, also a winner. Thought it was cool that he gets drafted by his hometown team. He is going to be a Redskin. Oh, it was adorable. You saw Chase Young there with his Redskins jersey. Brandon Ayuk as well grew up as a Niner fan. There he is with his Niner shirt. He went 25th overall as the 49ers fill a need. They needed another wide receiver after Deion Sanders guys went to New Orleans and signed a free agent contract. Deion, which teams do you think filled their free agent needs or their overall needs the best in the draft?
I like San Francisco, man. I was listening to D. Hall moments ago, and he got it right. These two guys, the head coach and the GM Lynch, I mean, they know what they're doing. I like the understanding of a good head coach and a guy who formerly played the game. That's a tremendous hookup. Right, Coach Billick? That's a wonderful hookup right there. Great things happen. But when you bring in Kinlaw, let me tell you something. My son plays for the University of South Carolina, and watching this guy rush the passer, bring heat, show up in and out every day, every game, this guy's a bona fide baller. You go in the draft, you get a couple receivers that can consequently replace Sanders, and you get a tight end, and you get a lineman. Then, to top it all off with the sugar on the top, you go get Trent Williams. You go get a 7-time Pro Bowler, man, possible all-pro guy to come and shore up your offensive line. Wow. These guys know what they're doing.
Yeah, I'm going to sound a little bit like a homer, but the Baltimore Ravens and what they were able to do to move themselves into 6 picks in the first 3 rounds. And the thing I love the most, remember, it's a pretty good football team, was the balance. They hit every aspect of their football team in the first 3 rounds with these 6 picks. And you start with the linebacker Queen. Obviously, that was a need. Like, they need help in the running game to go get Dobbins at the beginning of the second round. They addressed the guard position. They lost, obviously, due to retirement. The key thing for me is the only thing, if you want to be critical, they really did want to get a edge rusher. They really didn't come up with that. They certainly have added to their defensive line already with Calais Campbell and Wolf. But what they were able to do with these 6 picks by design and add youth to this team across the board, I don't think you can have a better draft than the Baltimore Ravens had.
All right, one last thing here. For the record, Deion, you played for the Falcons, Niners, Cowboys, Redskins, and Ravens. You have not played for the Saints. They signed Emmanuel Sanders, not Deion Sanders. Now that we have that cleared up.
Almost.
15 yards.
Almost played for the Saints.
Almost. Could have been. That story later. Deion, Brian, thank you. Coming up here on NFL Total Access Draft Recap. Justin Herbert landed in the Chargers' laps. We'll go one-on-one on the new quarterback here in Los Angeles. Plus, also coming up, are the Patriots still the team to beat in the